Hello, my name is Leanne Kruger. This video will illustrate how to create a table of records timeline, which I have on the screen. It was created in Excel, and as I recreate this document, I will explain how to do each step along the way. Some are tricks that might help you when creating other files to help you organize your genealogy. A table of records is a list of record sets available for a specific area. When you're looking for an ancestor, you can refer to that list to see which documents will help you find. Well, with the timeline, this one makes it really easy for me to find which record sets at a specific time period. So if I'm looking at my ancestor in 1860 in Canada, I can see all the gray cells and figure out which record sets I need to go explore and find my grandmother, great grandmother, my ancestor. We're going to start with this document. I've already typed in some record sets and a title. When you open up an Excel spreadsheet, you'll be in A1 right there in that cell, and you can type it in. I suggest you pause the video for just a few minutes to type in at least down to row 6, the 1825 Canada Census. That will help you be prepared for everything that I'm illustrating in this video. You're here, start typing, and just hit enter after each one. Now, you might not like what it's happening. The text is going way beyond column A. No problem. The first thing that we'll do when you get back is widen column A. See you in a minute. Welcome back. And as I said, let's start with widening column A. In Excel, it's essential that you watch what your mouse icon looks like, because as you move it over different things, it changes. And that's for a good thing. That's great. We want to widen column A. We're going to move our mouse up to this row that has the ABCs, the column headings, and go on that vertical bar between the column A and B. And when I move my mouse between A and B, my mouse icon changes to a vertical bar with double arrows. And now all I have to do is double click, and that changes the column to the longest entry, the width of the longest entry within that column. You don't have to go try to figure out what it is. Excel does it for us. So cool. Now we're going to start typing, and we're going to click in B2 because that's where our first year is going to be displayed. And we're going to type in 1700, and you can hit the tab key or the arrow to get to column C, where I'm going to type in 1800, tab, and 1810. Now, I messed that up. I missed a 0. There we go. I've fixed it. I'm not too worried about the decades within the 1700s, but with the 1800s, I want it from that point on every decade. But I don't want to type it in. I'm going to click in C2 and drag my mouse over to D2. And in the bottom of the right, the last cell selected is a little box. And that little box is called fill handle. When I move my mouse over it, I get a little black plus sign for my mouse icon. We're going to click and we're going to drag your mouse all the way over to Y. Now, as you're doing that, you'll see that there's a little box telling you what's going to be entered in that last, wherever you let go, that's the number. And so once we get to Y2, I let go of the mouse and I have my decades. It's very handy. Now that we've had them, We want to, let's go back to the beginning. I just hit my left arrow and I'm back at 1700. If I want to zoom to the left to the end of the text, I'm going to hold down the Control key if I'm on Windows, Command key if I'm on a Mac, and with that key down, I'm going to hit the right arrow. And what that does is that our cursor travels from where we were until it found a cell that was blank and then stopped at the previous one. It's very nice. Quick way to get to the end of our text. Now, this time, let's just hit the Control left arrow or the Home key, either way, and we get back into A2. I'm going to go back into B2. This time, I want to select all of those year cells because we want to make them bold. To do that, I am going to hold down my Control key again. And this time, I'm going to hold down the Shift key as well. That will select the cells as we move to the end. With my Control and my Shift key down, I'm going to hit my right arrow. It selected it like before. And now I can go on to the Home tab in the font section and hit the B. As it says right there, Control B also works. So either one, and it makes them all bold for me. The next thing that I want to do with these columns is I want to make them smaller. They only need to be the width of the 4 digits of the decade. I'm going to move my mouse over top of the B. My mouse icon now is a little black arrow pointing down. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag my mouse all the way over to Y. And if you go too far, no problem. You can just work your way back until you've got Y selected. Once you have it, then we're going to do the same thing that we did with column A. Pick columns, anyone you want, go between them, get your vertical bar and double arrows and double click, and now all the columns are just wide enough for us. I'm going to hit my left arrow again so that we can see that. Now it's time to start putting in the gray or the different colors. Now, you saw me with gray color. I tried yellow because I thought, well, let's make this really bright. Not everybody likes the brightness. Uh, Up to you. Pick a color you like, nice and bright, or like this one, a little bit gray. I'll pick the gray one so that everybody's eyes don't get burnt out while you're watching this video. The very first one starts in 1752. So I click here. On the Home tab in the font section is this paint can that's pouring out blue paint. Beside it is a drop-down box. Now, there might be a yellow in there right now because that's the default color when you create a new file. And if it is, you can just select it. Or you can click on the drop-down box beside it, and then you get a whole bunch of nice colors to choose from. I chose the second gray, white in the first column for my color. Now I'm going to use that fill handle again, and I'm going to click on that little box in the bottom right-hand corner of that cell and drag it all the way to 2007. So that's W, the column for 2000. Let go, and it copied that across for me. Another way that we can fill in these cells is to just click in the first cell. So this next one is 1807. I'm going to click in it because it starts within the 1800 decade. And I'm going to go all the way to 2007 again. So that's within the 2000 decade. And let go. Now I've selected these cells. When I come up here to my fill color, there's the color I chose. It's the same color. I'm not going to use multiple colors. I'm going to keep with the same fill color. So this time I can click on the icon, rather than going back and clicking in the drop-down box and picking the color again. I'm just going to click on the icon. It's a little bit faster, and it fills it in for me. Either way, whichever you like. If you like to select them ahead of time, click on the can, or fill one cell here, and then use the fill handle. Well, this one is just 1825, so we don't need to go anywhere. We're done. The next one, let me do this one just once more and go all the way to 1921. So that's 1920. See, if you go too far, just don't let go of the mouse until you've got it right, and let go. And I'm going to go back over here. Now, looks pretty good. There's a couple of things we're going to change because I think I would like some lines around things. Also, all of a sudden I realized, oh, I'm missing a record. We need one in between here. The Canada burials from 1800 to 2019 record set. Now, I have these in chronological order, and therefore I want it to not be at the bottom. It needs to be in the right place. I need to move everything from row 4 down. Row 4 is where I want a blank row, so I can fill in this new record set. I move my mouse over number 4, and I get that little black arrow pointing this time to the right, and I right click on it. When I right click on it, I get what's called a contextual menu, a menu that appears nicely, and a mini toolbar at the top. In this menu, I want to insert. So right in the middle of that menu is the word insert. I click on it, and I get a whole new row that is based on the previous row. So when you click in A4, you'll see it's identical. We'll fix that in just a second. First, I'm going to enter in my record set. This record set starts in 1800. I don't want this to be gray. This needs to be a blank one. So I'm going to click inside of it, go up to my fill paint color can here, click on the drop-down box, come down here and say no fill. In other words, get rid of that fill. And now it's back to being white. So if you go too far, no problem. Just get rid of the fill. If we do control, oh, I need to make sure. Did it go far enough? 2019. Not quite. Okay, I'm going to grab here, grab the fill handle and go to 2019. Then come back home. Let's see what this looks like if we were to print this. You might want to. Well, we'll decide, but let's do Control P for a print preview. There's all the records I have and the fill that I've done. As you can see, we can't see many years. It would be better if instead of having it as a portrait orientation, we make it landscape. We're only going down this far, and I would like to see more years at one time. On the left here, it says portrait. I'm going to click right on there, click on landscape, and my paper turns 90 degrees and I have landscape. Yay. But if I was printing this, if I was looking at this, it might be hard to follow each line. So I'm going to, I can get out of here and go back to our document. We're in backstage mode. I want to go onto the stage again. I can click this back arrow in the top left, or I can hit the escape key. Either way will get me back here. I want some borders. I want to have lines so I can find the items easier. I'm going to click in A3 with my big white plus sign. Make sure you got the big white plus sign right in the middle of the cell. Drag your mouse down to the last one you've got, or you could go down this far, down farther than you need at this point. And then we're going to go over to Y. Now we know the last column we need is Y. So I click on it, and then I go to the ribbon on the Home tab in the font section, middle of the bottom row is, it looks like a window with 4 panes. And the bottom of the window has a dark border. The rest are kind of dotted. When you move your mouse over, it says bottom border. We don't want just a bottom border. We want complete. Click on the drop-down box beside that and select all borders. Now, okay, that'll be a little bit easier to follow along to see which years each record is. Now, when we were down there, we couldn't see, let me show you. I can't see what year each of these decades are, and I don't want to count them again. I'd like you to click in cell B3, right under the 1700s, beside the Canadian newspapers. In that cell, we're going to click on the View tab, and in the Windows section, right of center of the View tab is something called Freeze Panes. And what we want to do is freeze everything above where our cursor is right now and everything to the left of our cursor. That's why we put ourselves in B3. I'm going to click on Freeze Panes, and I'm going to select Freeze Panes. Now when I hit page down or go down farther, I can still see what decade it is. And when I tab over to the right, and I'm over here, I know what the record set is that goes till 1921 because it's right there. Very nice. Now, another thing, if we were to print this, let's do Control P again. We've got our freeze panes while we're working with the document when we have it open. But if I printed this, look at page 2. Down at the bottom, it has 1 of 2 or 2. When I hit the arrow, I go to page 2. I can't see what the record set is anymore on this page. I would want that on both pages. So again, we're going to hit escape. On your ribbon, I would like you to click on page layout. Page layout is very handy. Right under the tab is orientation. We could have changed the orientation from portrait to landscape right here rather than going and looking at it, but it's good to preview. What we want this time is print titles. We want column A to print on every sheet. And if our record set goes on to multiple pages, we will want our decades to print on every single page. In the second section here, it says print titles, rows to repeat at the top. I'm going to click inside that box, and then I'm going to click on this blue box that has this red arrow pointing. I click on it, and I'm going to select row 2. because that's what we want. We want those decades to repeat. And then I click on that blue box at the end again. Now I'm going to go to the columns to repeat. Click on the blue box, click on column A, click on the blue box, and then I'm going to just say OK. Now let's try this out. Do Control P again to do our print preview. Okay, nothing's changed in here, but now when we go to page 2 and looking for those other decades, there's my record set. I can see it. I'm ready to go. Now, there's a couple more things that I'd like to do in here, and that is add in, let's go down here to this one, to 1825, and I want to find the, I want this to be a hyperlink. I would like, as these are, notice they're all blue and underlined. That means they're a hyperlink. That means that if I want to go to that record set, I can just click right here. After I've viewed the document, found which one, click on it, and it's going to open it up for me. How do I do that? Well, first, I'm going to go find that record set. So I'm going to type in MyHeritage, and I like just going straight to it. So it was the 1825 Canada, Lower Canada Census. Now, true confession here, this is how I find record sets. I type in the company and what set I'm going to find, and it just brings it up for me. So much easier, I find, than going into MyHeritage or into Ancestry or any of them and trying to find the record set there if I haven't been there before and it's not on a table of records for some reason. That's how I find them. So I'm here, I'm at the 1825. Here's the address up here. I click, it selects the whole address for me, and I'm just going to say copy. I did Control C. You can also right click and say copy. So now it's in our clipboard. Now I'm going to go back to our beautiful document we've got started. There's our 1825 Canada, Lower Canada, and I'm going to click on the Insert tab. Way over on the right-hand side of that tab is a section called Links, and in it is an icon for hyperlink. I click on it. This asks me, how do I want to link? Well, I want to link to a file or a web page. The text to display is what I typed in A7. It's all there for me. It filled it in. Down here at the bottom, it's asking me for an address. I'm going to do Control V to paste it in there, or I could have right-clicked and said paste. One or the other. It's in there for me. Now all I have to do is say OK, and that became a hyperlink for me, all ready to go. Now, you may have noticed I put years in here when it wasn't the exact number. I haven't decided if I like it or not. It may be handy. It may not. Up to you. Let me know what you think. Which way do you like it? Do you like it plain, or do you like having that extra year in there? Now that we've got this done, you might want to save it as a PDF. Then you can open it up as a PDF and print it that way or print it from here. But if you open up Excel, you get these hyperlinks. If you save it as a PDF, it also will have the hyperlinks. And so I would do File Save As, and I want to go into my Heritage. And instead of saving it as an Excel file, I click on the drop-down box and I select PDF. I can change the name if I want. I don't need to. I'm just going to click on Save, and it will save this document. And it actually opened it up over here on my other screen. So I'm just going to close it. And there's a PDF version. And there's page 2 so that you can see it. Either way, it works great. Please leave a comment, questions, email me, put them below, and we will see you around the genealogy world. Have a great day.